Welcome back to this special edition of Hannity. Before we go, I want to tell you about my new book, Doesn't Hurt to Ask, Using the Power of Questions to Communicate, Connect, and Persuade. It's not about what I believe. It's about helping you prove what you believe. It's out next week, and it will help you make your case and move others closer to your way of thinking. Thank you for joining us tonight. Sean will be back on Monday. The Ingram Angle is up next. Have a great weekend.
Welcome to the Ingram Angle. I'm Raymond Arroyo, sitting in for Laura Ingram. I have an amazing lineup tonight that you will not want to miss. We're going to talk to a Chicago alderman whose not only his home, but his office was ransacked, violence gripped. He is going to come here and talk about what is happening on the ground. You have a mayor and local prosecutors who are failing to act. We're also going to talk with a college student as well as experts on COVID and what's happening at the university level, and later take you inside that Trump deal, that UAE Israeli deal. It's an amazing lineup. Please stay with us. But first, my thoughts on universities and what's happening there. United we stand, divided we snitch. In addition to the lockdowns and the mask mandate, presidential nominee Joe Biden has one big COVID plan.
Individual states like New York and California are already hiring and training thousands of tracers. But we need to do more, including hiring at least 100,000 federally funded workers to perform contact tracing and other public health tasks. And they should begin to be trained now.
And they are being trained by the thousands to track your whereabouts and who you've been in contact with using apps and person-to-person interviews. Tracers are essentially health snoops. They're recording all your interactions. Now, this is a tracer trainer in Houston.
There's been plenty of people who have broke down and cried because they thought they were going to lose their jobs. And they don't want to give any kind of information that we don't already have in our hands.
Now, liberal governors and mayors have mostly waved off privacy concerns. They've not only embraced the tracing regimen, but they've taken enforcement of their health orders a step further. Hogan in Maryland and Bashar of Kentucky set up hotlines to rat out neighbors.
Those who are not in compliance with our state orders, this is a call that can allow government to know, to make sure that we know what you know.
L.A. Mayor Garcetti was even more explicit.
You know the old expression about snitches? Well, in this case, snitches get rewards. We want to thank you for turning folks in and making sure we are all safe.
Turning folks in. That snitch mindset has now hit universities across America. To return to campus, many college students are being required to sign contracts with their schools promising to abide by new COVID requirements. Mask wearing, social distancing, eating alone in some cases, routine testing, no overnight dorm parties, nothing. Violators face suspension or expulsion. But how do they enforce the COVID contracts on campus? Enter the wellness ambassadors.
To you public health ambassadors are volunteer students, faculty, and staff who will model and monitor physical distancing practices.
The university is encouraging all of our students to abide by the COVID guidelines. And sometimes we may have to enforce some of these guidelines if people do not abide by them. We also have our wellness support ambassadors who will check for compliance at the entrances of all of our buildings and our classrooms.
The wellness support ambassador will check your papers at the library and before every class. That's right. You pay $50 to $60, some cases $80,000 a year to have your kids basically enter what is now a Soviet-style People's Republic of Education, where their peers are encouraged to spy on them and turn them over to administrators. You might call it Snitch You. If you think I'm exaggerating, I'm not. Now, bear in mind, Most of these universities require all returning students to take COVID tests before they can even enter campus. Columbia is recruiting student ambassadors to help police the student body. The University of Miami is paying $10 an hour for their public health ambassadors, and they're not alone. A slew of colleges are training health minders and loosing them on the student bodies. At my alma mater, NYU, students are instructed to confront anyone not wearing a mask or social distancing and, quote, if the person persists in not complying or responds confrontationally, you should not pursue the matter face-to-face. Instead, report fellow student noncompliance. These universities are not playing around.
We need people to adopt healthful behaviors immediately. And I can tell you, we're going to pull out all the stops from the research evidence. And also, we're going to have a high level of expectation that folks in the community will respond to our guidance. The threshold will be very, very low, and we'll be holding people accountable.
The question, which we will explore shortly with experts as well as a Texas student, is this. What effect do these university COVID student spy rings have on community cohesiveness? Does it undermine the academic and personal freedom young people need for growth intellectually and socially? And are our institutions of higher education, no matter what they're calling these kids, health ambassadors, forcing all students to major in practical snitching?